Hey there, I am JB and welcome at some more Ylands. For today we are going to build a very important part of the kingdom, but more about that in a minute. Because first of all, I got a couple of comments. Sophie is saying, very cool, I love the changes and the captain's boat. What about Orange 8 meadows? Ideas for decorations, maybe some battles with fire in them to keep the soldiers warm, or flowers, fruit, vegetables, meats also, or an old anchor on a platform. The broken helms can be combined 2 in 1 so it doesn't look broken, if you would like to use that. Any carts for moving things around, braziers, holding rack for spears and artillery, if that is the right word, weapons and cannonballs and such. That is a whole mouthful, and thank you a lot for the package of ideas. I already have a couple of ideas from your list already laying around, but I can use them more all over the place. I will show you some of that in a second. And Salex is saying Orange County. Now in this case we got 3 names for the kingdom, which I asked it in the last episode, what name should I be using? And my personal favorite is Orangeburg. But what I will end up doing, which I will show you in a minute, is we are going to use the spinning wheel in order to choose one out of the 3 names. Turelurtje is saying maybe you can add a village with a wall around it. I think it will become very nice. We are going to build a village on top of the hill right above my head, to be precise. And an extra wall, I just have to see. There will be some more walls around in the kingdom though. But thank you a lot for your suggestion. And Yo has Lego is saying 2102, you did it. Clap, clap, clap. I am so proud of you. Well, I'm very happy you like it, that I now know it is NCP. So thank you a lot for your applause. Course, NPCs, non-playable characters. Anyways, of course that I got a lot more comments. Thank you guys a lot for this. This will help out the series, this will help out the channel. You make me smile. I really like to read them, I really like to answer them. So keep these comments coming. Ideas, names, whatever you can think of. Now before I am going to go to the spinning wheel, I have promised Sophie just about that I will show what I already got, but like I was saying, I could use those things a lot more around, for example, above into the village. Down here I got a cart, so with this guy we can move stuff around, at least for this down area. You know, we can have some of these goodies which come from the ships, we can move them uphill, which I'm going to think of something. And of course down here for the artillery I got some cannonballs, I got some sacks with gunpowder to shoot these cannonballs, and some of them are in this box. And so we be here with the spinning wheel. For the people that don't know the spinning wheel, you can just basically win prizes every Saturday 8 PM CET onto my live stream. I will drop the link in my Discord as well as an Ylands Discord. I want to keep it with that because I can explain a lot about that. Now the idea here is I'm going to spin the wheel, and if it stops on something that is green, yes it is green, I will choose Orangeburg. If it stops on red, it will be Orange County. If it stops on purple, white or yellow, it will be Orange 8 meadow. So I'm going to spin the wheel right now and it's going to go super duper fast. Alright, let's slow it down for a bit. I hope I can still remember what I've been saying. So it will be green, red or any of the other ones. Ooh. This is going to be green, my favorite color, my lucky color. It's red. So in this case, the kingdom will be named Orange County. Congratulations, Salex. Alright, like I was saying, something very important for today. And this is something, of course, that has to do with the kingdom. Because one thing that is very important is not only to have protection on the back. Yes, you can guess it. It is also important to have protection up front. Which all of a sudden it has stopped raining. So you can see down there is already a piece of a wall, and as you can see on the left side, which for some reason didn't spawn in. Come on, spawn in. Chop chop. There we go. So person X has been building a platform down there, and I'm very much wondering what this is going to be. But my biggest concern is that person X is expanding up front and I'm being busy in the back. So I'm going to need to have protection up front. which in this case we are going to build our kingdom wall, and it's going to be a little bit of a project because I'm going to need to build all the way up there somewhere. Now for the cliffside at the water though, I am going to build it up just like I've been doing at the harbor with the ground. I want to make it like very cliffy, so the people that are going to invade my land cannot just go onto the land, right? We're going to make it high up, we're going to make it cliffy, we're going to make it difficult for them. So I'm going to need to, let's say, build it up here along the cliffside as much as possible /is, and then start building the wall from, let's say, you know, somewhere around here. This is where I'm going to need to start. Anything else is not going to be walled up, because I don't want to build too much structures, you know, I don't want to make it too heavy. Then we're going to need to go up. Up. Gonna need to go a little bit like this. And go along the cliffside. And then down here, I think this would be a perfect spot for a very big tower with some cannons in them. So we can dominate at least the front of the battlefield. Now, I have been speaking with Person X about something fun we eventually going to do in the no man's land in our kingdoms. I'm looking forward to that, but it's not going to happen anytime soon just yet. And then the wall will go here. And this is a very nice point where we're going to make like a door. A big doorway into the kingdom, and this will be the only doorway into our kingdom. Of course, down here I want to have barracks, I want to have soldiers and troops stationary and whatnot, and stables and all kinds of stuff. And I've been showing in the first episode, how I want to have a road going up past the kingdom castle towards the village. So what I will do right now is I'm going to get rid of all of the resources along the pathway where the wall needs to be. Alright, I've been removing resources from that point all the way up to the water. This gave me some time to think, what am I going to do? What do I want? How can I make it look efficient? How big are we going to make this tower? And how can I, you know, place the wall the best way to take care that we got a good view of things that is going on. So I have changed a little bit about the idea of the wall. First of all, I'm going to need to see if I can remove this random encounter, because this thing will not allow me to take a blueprint from this area once I place down a couple of blocks in order to know how big can the tower be 2.5 million years later. Please. Okay, there we go. Alright, so that problem is solved. Now, the thing here, what I changed about the wall is I want to go more directly that way. Also for the reason being, once I have a tower here with cannons, it would make sense to have a cannon kind of face that way. So I can also defend the wall. We just need to make it high enough, you know, they can shoot the cannon all the way down there if needed. You know, maybe Person X will have like a very big structure moving up to the wall, which is made out of wood. Of course, you can just shoot a fire arrow if this game had it. Basically, you have to imagine a round tower, and the wall is gonna go this way directly to this area. And then we'll stop somewhere around here. Will be another tower, not as big, but good enough. And then it's gonna be exactly towards that piece of cliff there. Now the whole reason why I'm having these blocks with me is because I'm going to need to measure the height of the cliff what I have at the harbor. I don't just want to spend a lot of time today and tomorrow trying to fix up the cliff, because it is not everywhere as much as necessary, right? I mean, this is kind of cliffy. Yes, you know, realistically you can climb up. I mean, until here needs to be a little bit of a cliff until there. So what I mean by cliffy is this type of deal. So I want to put this for an example at the water. Now I know it's 2, 3. Let's say it is going to need to be a 4 high. So the ground bottom is the top of the water. The top of this block is the top of what the cliff needs to be. And you know, I'm thinking of it. I could also add some spikes, right? Some spikes into, you know, we have the cliff going along that way very nicely, and then have some spikes sticking out that way. I think it would also be a very good idea. Yeah, what a lovely morning. Indeed, it is morning in real life for me. It's the next day. It is today Friday, and let's get my butt to work because there is a lot of stuff that I'm going to need to do. So let me show you what I have done for right down here. I've been making a piece of a cliffside right down here. I've been digging away some stuff. Now it does look a little messy, but I'm going to be sure that it looks nice in the end. I do wish once again that we could make certain pieces of ground green by some sort of tool. Maybe the developers are going to add that in the future because it has been requested a lot. Yeah, but once again, we're going to make a little tower right down here, a round tower. And the nice thing with the round tower is I can just attach a wall, and by the look of it, I'm going to take these stones here in order to aim out the wall later on. So the tower is going to need to be here, and once the tower is here, I'm also going to add some ground back on that side over there. Now meanwhile I was busy, I got a couple of ideas in mind what I would like to do. So the wall is going to be along this cliffside right down here and ends up right down here. I want to make sure that the wall is just high enough, or maybe we can make it go higher to this point right down here, and then the soldiers can come up on this side. Now I seen a little bit of a vision of a pathway that I can go and build along the way that way, so there will be some more cliff sides going that way. And I was thinking right down here in the corner would be a very good position for another cannon bunker overlooking the area like that. I think it would be a very good idea since the harbor is right down there around the corner, and then normal cliff sides on this point. I think this cliffside here is actually enough. Right down here it's intense messy, so I'm going to need to make sure to make that look nice. So in this case, how are we going to do it? Well, I have a little bit of a plan. How am I going to do this? So I'm just going to go and grab some bits and pieces like I always do. This is here perfectly on grid, and if I go up like that, you can see it ends up perfectly where I want to have the big tower. I'm going to need to aim this out. Flash is perfect. Just gonna put it right down here for now. Well, let me just say right down here. So I know the wall is going to end up right down here. I'm going to remove this one. Now the important thing here is going to be the cliffside. Alright, this is going to need to be off the grid. Okay, but the wall needs to be perfect like this. And I think it is going to be perfect, as long as the outside of the wall will be on line with, let's say, these two blocks down here, right? Put one down here. So I know this is kind of slash is the end. And or place another one right down here. By the look of it, this is perfect. But just place it out here. If I go this way, both of them will be aimed out in it. Then go down here, aim it up, and then take the picture. Alright, perfect. Now of course I'm going to use the same wall, and I need to keep it simple. That is one thing that I'm going to need to keep in mind. So let's take the blueprint as to sample, which sample wall mini tower. So now place this guy right down here for an example. Make sure that that is gone. Now let's group it up with this guy. So the wall will become here. I at least need to take care that the wall is gonna go into the cliff just a little bit, because this one is perfectly on the cliff, this one is hanging over the cliff, and this one is at the point where it goes a little bit inclined, right? And then the tower needs to be here. Now I'm going to make it myself a little bit easy, I would say. I'm just going to borrow a piece of this wall right down here. Alright, it looks all nice and fine. I made sure to place a copy of this wall down here. So if in the future I'm going to need another piece of wall, I don't have to change too much of it, since now both sides are kind of even. Of course, I'm going to need to make another version without stairways if needs, but it's not too much of a work. I got a little stairways down here, since I think I might need it. I'm not quite sure, because this here is standing onto the cliff ground, which is actually just as high as this. But like I've been saying before, you can better add something extra and remove it than trying to add it later on. And since it's inclined, it's going to be very difficult to add this later on. So now I'm going to need to be sure to have this on 45 degrees like that. Then we're going to put this in place. And I'm going to need to think very well what I'm doing here, because I've been saying the outside of this corner here is exactly where the cliffs start, so going down. So if I would put the wall like this, I'm going to have a problem with these stones later on. So I'm going to need to aim out these stones as end of the cliff. And so I now have it all fixed up. It is way shorter down here, which I moved the whole wall closer towards the cliff, and or I've been chopping off a piece down here where the corner piece needs to be. Now I've been saying I want to create a little tower, but I feel like in this case I might not have enough space for that, making it the tower like extremely small, and or in this case I have like a very weird angle to build this guy. But the one thing that I can do, since the other wall will actually be placed on grid that way, because I know these two present the way where the cliff, the wall needs to be, I was like, you know, why don't we just go around the corner and add that to our existing piece? So I'm going to leave this on grid, and then place it like this, and then just try to fill in the blank down here, so we can easily continue the wall that way. Which I'm just going to use one stone, and it's basically enough. All I have to do is just move it up, down, left and right just a little bit, so there are no glitching pieces. And perfect. Yeah, so now we have the whole wall, and this here is still on grid, so it's easy to attach the whole long wall that goes to the big round tower. Alright, so here we be, the one on the cliff, the one at the edge, and the one overhanging is gonna go away. This one is going to go away, and by the look of it, it's going to fit in. And then the only one that will stay is this one, because the green one needs to be set on the other side. Oh boy. And this is what it's supposed to be. You know, I don't think that is actually too bad though. Now of course this cliff looks a little bit unnatural because it's super duper straight. So I might just add a little grapple here and there in order to create a little bit of bumpiness towards that way. Yeah, this whole part here needs to be modified, but yeah, so this is perfect. And you know, it might be just one stone that is visible and the other one in the mountain isn't visible at all. It's at least for this side, but you know, you can better add one too much than having to go back into the editor and make a whole separate blueprint for just one stone. And down here it's actually the same story. It's okay. Now of course I'm not sure just yet how the environment is gonna look like down here, but having a stairs down there is at least very good. And this here is way too high, but like I've been saying, you can easily remove that. I only hope that that part is gonna look good. But what I can also do is just add some gravel, you know, and just make the terrain going smooth onto it. I think that will be even a better idea than just removing stuff. So in this case, let's start filling in the blank and see how it looks like. Which that is actually it. I thought it would be a lot more though. And wonderful. Now, of course, you can also imagine now people have been working, people have been cutting off the rock edge in order to make it sharp like that, to make it the enemy difficult as possible. Now, of course, I don't want to overdo the overgrown stuff or basically the nature food too much, and also not yet too much. But I am thinking there definitely needs to be a tree growing here. So I'm definitely going to need to get a little bit of dirt in here. Ah, yes, perfect. Just right here on the cliff would be super duper nice. Perfect. And of course a couple pieces of grass and at least one flower to stay down here. Couple of smaller pieces of grass, and wondering how this area is going to look like. Perfect along the edge here. You can also make one piece of a fence, which I'm going to need to angle that out in the editor just for this type of deal here. I'm going to need to make a little bit of a pathway that way, but I can do that just a little bit later on. I just want to see how this is going to look like. The other thing that I am going to do is I'm going to add in some spikes right down there, and or I might just, well, repair the ground down here just a little bit. Alright, I got the spikes done, and I have done a little bit extra around in the area. Now I made 5 different spike blueprints, and this is how it looks like. In general, I am pretty happy how the area is starting to become a thing down here. Very nice. Just a little bit of extra protection at the closest area. So, you know, basically why this is here is I don't want people to sneak around the area, place some ladders against the cliff down here or down here. I placed a couple of trees back. Now, this is something that I also would like to do a little further ahead, except for the spikes. I don't want to spike everything up, just a little bit of this, a little bit of that, spread around the area. I think it would be a good idea. So in this case, I got 2 options. Or I'm going to continue this down here first, which is gonna take quite a while for me to terraform the whole situation down here. Or we're just going to continue that way first. I think that would be a little bit more easier to do. But before doing that, I am not quite done in this wall yet. So what I mean by that, there are a couple of things actually missing. Now for an example, some lights is going to be very handy. And not only for this area, I also would like to create some lights onto the harbor area. So we are going to need to fix something to light up onto the wall itself, which I'm also going to need to make at least 2 blueprints, because this part here is diagonal from this part here. This part down here is easy because it's on grid. Alright, wonderful. It starts to become something. I got the lamps onto the wall. I got the flag on the wall. I also got a lamp and or a little fence right down here. So yeah, it starts to look very good. I'm glad that I got something in the sky down here. Now the only thing that I've been thinking about is, in the end, it's not a very good spot though, because they will have the high ground, which is very bad. So if ever, someday, somehow, I'm ever going to do another Kingdom project, maybe in season 5, 6 or 7, then I'm going to keep in mind to also take the terrain to my advantage, right? If I would redo it, I would build the wall here, so we also have the high ground, because these dudes will need to go down, then come up, so we have the high ground to shoot down. Right now, that is very bad. Now for anything else though in this area is something that I'm not going to fill in just yet. So basically I'm talking about like this little part down here for an example, because I don't know yet what I'm gonna build right down here. It is always the best to fill in the between in pieces at the moment you build something else, because in the end it will look way better. Now I'm also going to be honest, it is almost Friday afternoon and this episode needs to get up. Now what I will do is I will start already tomorrow recording for the next episode, which I want to have up on Tuesday, which in this case will give me plenty of days in order to do what I am going to need to do, because if I every time want to try to cram stuff up on Friday, it's going to take a long while for this whole wall to pop up, and it's something I don't want. So at least I'm going to give myself 3 days to build the tower, to build the between in wall, which I have an idea how I want to do it, and or at least we're going to fix up the gate, and or after that, once we got that fixed, I would like to see how much I can continue further that way. Now it is a bit of a less of a progress episode, but I hope you guys like what I've been doing here. If you have something to add to this project right down here, you can let me know down below in the comment section. And of course tomorrow 8 PM CET there will be another spinning wheel for you to win great prizes and blueprints. And I'm going to need to have 4 lanterns. I'm going to need to have a couple of horseshoes, a couple of pieces of wood. It's the best if I first fill in everything that is on the lower end here, and then start filling in everything from the top without the stone.